Hi, welcome. I am going to go over all of the measures that are up for vote in California on this podcast. This is in direct response to many of you who I really thank you for reaching out to me and trusting me to go over these with you. I'm going to give you my opinion and the reasons why I will be voting the way I'm going to. So let's start with Proposition 2. I'm going to vote no on Proposition 2. This is the proposition which authorizes bonds for public school and community college facilities. What this actually means is Proposition 2 is going to max out the state's credit card by borrowing $10 billion at very high interest rates when California enrollment is rapidly declining and local politicians are discriminating against charter schools by prohibiting them from using public facilities. Basically, this $10 billion, it's for unspecified expenditures in school districts. And one thing I found very strange about this particular proposition, it provides a mandatory project labor agreement, which prevents fair and open competition on construction contracts at school districts. So essentially, the funds are going to be diverted to politically connected firms. As a result, whatever anyone's saying, I went through this, I'm going to vote no on Prop 2. Let's take a look at Prop 3. That's another big no for me. This title is Constitutional Right to Marry. This issue, personally and constitutionally, should not even be on the ballot in 2024, as this has been settled constitutional law since 2015. In 2015, the United States Supreme Court ruled allowing gay marriage. So why this particular proposition is on the ballot for vote has nothing to do with securing gay rights to marry, but it has everything to do with overly broad right to marry anyone or anything in the state, which means that this can have very grave unintended consequences. For example, it's very vague. Could it allow and would it? Well, it might allow child marriages. There's many unexplained limits on this particular proposition. It just expands with no direction and no limit right to marry, which to me is crazy. This issue, again, should not even be on the ballot, as the Supreme Court ruled that gay marriage is permissible since 2015, and that is also permissible in the state of California. So there's no reason to expand that particular ruling other than to have very grave or very egregious unintended consequences, such as child marriage or other situations where parents may not have control over their youth. So anyway, that's a no. Let's get into Prop 4, another big no for me. This title authorizes bonds for safe drinking water, wildfire prevention, and protecting communities and natural lands from climate risks. When you read this title, it sounds very good. You think, well, I want to support something like this. But Proposition 4 is a no from me, because what it actually means is $10 billion with high interest rates. Basically, we're putting $10 billion on a state credit card with very high rates, where there's actually zero plan to fix the state's water crisis, and there's no actual true commitment on paper to address failures in fire risk management. Basically, Prop 4, the vast majority of the money goes to what we call wasteful climate change projects. These are all things that people just want to put in one big, miscellaneous. Anytime they want to say, we're going to use it for safe drinking water, for wildfire prevention, protecting the natural lands and climate risk, but they don't really give you a plan. And so liberal policies and liberal politicians can use them for their liberal climate change agenda. It is a big no from me. Prop 5, another big no. The title for this one allows local bonds for affordable housing and public infrastructure with 55% voter approval. That is the title to Prop 5. It is a no from me. What this proposition actually means is that Prop 5 is going to gut Prop 13, and it makes it actually easier to raise taxes by lowering the vote required on ad valorem taxes from 2/3 to 55%. A lot of politicians have long sought to repeal Prop 13 and impose costly and unfair tax hikes on struggling residents. Prop 5 is just another effort to chip away at Prop 13 protections, and it just makes it much easier for politicians to raise your taxes. And I know you guys don't want that. Neither do I. So vote no on Prop 5. Let's take a look at Prop 6. Another big no that I'm going to cast my vote. Prop 6, it reads, it eliminates constitutional provision allowing involuntary servitude for incarcerated persons. Oh my God, this one. This is insane. The title makes it look like that we want slavery. It says, if you vote no, it means you do not want to eliminate involuntary servitude for incarcerated persons. Here's the deal. This has nothing to do with slavery. And what this proposition, and why I'm going to vote no, is because it actually means what it will do. It'll remove a requirement that criminals who are serving time in prison, it removes a requirement from having them to do work details, which will then allow these prisoners to unionize and demand pay hikes from taxpayers. Basically, Prop 6 is being sold as a ban on slavery and involuntary servitude, but it actually just eliminates the ability of state prisons to require criminals behind bars to do work to earn their keep, which is basically they need to make sure prisoners continue to clean their cells, do their laundry, make food. This is what we do at our own homes. No one's paying me for that. I wish I had a maid. But what Prop 6 would do is basically taxpayers would actually be paying prisoners to have other people clean the cells, clean their toilets, do their laundry, etc. That's ridiculous. This is not involuntary servitude. This is what happens to everybody. But when you're in jail, my tax dollars aren't paying for you to have a maid to clean your cell. Sorry. That's what happens when you get caught, you're doing something wrong, and you're in prison. Just normal everyday things to make sure you earn your keep. Okay. It's just unbelievable when I'm going through these, how deceptive the titles for these measures are. But it's a no on Prop 6, and it is another big no on Prop 32, which this is a big one. Prop 32 raises minimum wage. I think we can all agree. This is a big fat no. I don't know why, but advocates are saying that this wage hike is needed to allow essential workers to keep up with the high cost of living by immediately requiring businesses with 26 or more employees to raise minimum wage to $18 an hour. Okay, people should know this. Once if this is voted and passed, it cannot be revoked unless voters vote again to repeal it. At a time when California are suffering under beyond high inflation and, again, previous minimum wage hikes, which already destroyed entry-level jobs, this would be absolutely devastating. Bottom line, small businesses and even larger businesses would be completely out of business. They simply cannot afford to do this. It would get rid of potential opportunities in the workforce, let alone businesses that were barely hanging on would be forced to shut down because they can't afford to stay open. So please vote no on Prop 32. Prop 33. Again, I'm voting no. It's the title expands local government's authority to enact rent control on residential property. Actually, what this particular proposition does, it expands local government's ability to pass rent control laws and actually restrict other private property rights. Bottom line, it's going to make housing so much more expensive. All we have to do is take a look at LA and San Francisco, and I know that we'll be voting no on Prop 33. Where I'm going to vote yes, though, is on Prop 34. Here, the title is deceptive. It says it restricts spending by healthcare providers meeting specified criteria. So what does that actually mean? Well, if you read this proposition, I think you are going to be in favor in voting yes. It means that campaign finance, it means that campaign finance reform prevents use of taxpayer money in politics. So I'm sorry, I'm reading this as I'm telling you what's going on. Bottom line, let's see what it says here. Okay, Proposition 34 was put on the ballot because I think we've all heard of the so-called nonprofit organization AIDS Foundation Healthcare. We're going to give this as a primary example here. AIDS Foundation Healthcare has received hundreds of millions in taxpayer funds for their programs through government contracts and have used those funds, though, to engage in ballot measure campaigns to advance very progressive, very liberal policies. If we vote yes, this is just how it works. If we vote yes to Prop 34, it would actually end those type of schemes. So it's actually, I do think this is a very strong yes, Proposition 34 for me, because it's needed to protect patients and ensure that the revenue directly benefits them. So what it's going to do is it requires certain healthcare providers to spend at least, it says 98% of their net revenue from discounted prescription drug sales on, keyword here, direct patient care. So this is a good thing. And again, this would also force the AIDS Healthcare Foundation to spend money on direct needs of their patients rather than political agendas. So far, all no's except for Proposition 34, which is a yes. Let's go to Proposition 35. I'm going to vote no. It provides permanent funding for Medi-Cal healthcare services. So simply put, this is the easy one. I'm voting no. It's a healthcare tax increase. Okay, that's simply what it is. Prop 35 permanently imposes a tax on healthcare specifically for MCOs, which are managed care organizations that offer health coverage. For this reason, I'm going to recommend a no vote. I know people have said to me there are several worthy provisions in this proposition that will hold politicians accountable for spending healthcare funds, but these provisions should be presented to voters in a separate measure. By commingling it's very muddy. So I'm voting no because it does put a severe healthcare tax increase on us, the taxpayer. Okay, what else? Prop 36, last but not least, Prop 36, I'm voting yes. I'm voting yes. The title for this one, it allows felony charges and increases sentences for certain drug and theft crimes. So bottom line, what does this actually mean for us as citizens in California? It means it will restore the ability for police and prosecutors to arrest and punish criminals to combat crime and drug problems and just the wave of crime related to theft and drugs. It's just going to restore the ability for police to do their jobs. And it actually creates accountability for these crimes. And we need to reform criminal law to permit felony charges for theft and drug crimes, because people who possess fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, will be charged with a treatment mandated felony rather than a simple misdemeanor. And with what's happening with our youth today, with all the drugs that are being flooded throughout our nation, especially in California, we need to put an end to this, and we need to give police and prosecutors the ability to do their job effectively. Okay, well, let me do a recap. So with the California propositions, propositions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 32, and 33 are all no's. 34, Proposition 34 is a yes. Proposition 35 is a no. And 36 is a yes. So the only yeses that I am going to vote for are Proposition 34 and Proposition 36. I know you all know I'm going to be voting for President Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, top of the ticket. And also I'm going to be voting for Steve Garvey for U.S. Senate partial and full term. So anyway, we'll get into all of that in another podcast. I hope this was helpful for you. So if you have any follow-up questions regarding these propositions, please email me. Otherwise, I hope you make it a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Go Dodgers.